Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Drafted Up Podcast. It's a great day to be alive, and today it's a great day to rank some guys. We're a podcast focused on NFL draft and fantasy football drafts. I'm your host, Theo. Joining me, as always, is Nick. How you doing today, dude?
Good. How are you, my boy?
I'm doing good. A little under the weather, but we're going to churn through this. Today, we are going to rank our top 10 running backs for the 2024 NFL Draft, and it's an interesting class.
It's seen as a subpar class for sure.
Yeah. Before we get into that, you can follow us over on Spotify at the Drafted Up Podcast, or you can go to YouTube at the Drafted Up Pod, Drafted Up _ pod, and that is also our Twitter/X handle. So give us a follow, give us a like, give us a subscribe. Do it all, as you can listen to us through your audio airwaves or your video screen through your eye holes.
Eye holes. Interesting choice of words.
Yeah, I needed something different than eyes, and I didn't want to just go with eyeballs.
Fair enough.
So
eye sockets would have worked.
Your eye sockets, yeah. Oh well, we're going with eye holes, and we're sticking to it. Like you said, yeah, this running back draft is viewed as subpar. There's not really anyone who jumps out at you as like this must draft running back, which there's usually one or two per class. This class is wide open.
Oh yeah, from 1 to you could go any number deep you wanted, and you could throw out. They're all the same.
Yeah, everyone. It's really clustered.
Yeah,
like I really like my top 3 guys, and then everyone else is like a bucket from like 4 to 15. You can interchange them, and I wouldn't argue about it.
Mine is more so the top 2 guys, and then everybody else.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm interested to see where you have your rankings, but give us somebody outside your top 10 that you really like that you want to talk about.
I have a couple guys out of the top 10 that I would talk about. Rashid Ali from Marshall would be one of them. He didn't get to do the combine, unfortunately, because of his ACL injury.
He's got great tape. No, forearm. He's the one with the forearm.
Yes, it was not a knee injury. My apologies.
Yeah, he hurt his forearm. I believe it was like the first day of either Senior Bowl or Shrine Bowl practice.
It was the bowl practice. Yeah. His tape is great. If you look at his tape, you see great feet. His burst side to side is unbelievable. He's very good in the screen game. If you go back to his first season as he started, he had 23 rushing touchdowns, which is a crazy production. And speaking of production, he's had 2 1,000-yard seasons in college, which is always good to see.
Yeah, incredibly productive back out there in Marshall. I do like his tape a lot. Like you said, he's got some shifty feet, utilized well in the passing game, and I think if he gets drafted, I have a draftable grade on him. He should contribute early on special teams and through the passing game as a third down back possibly. His injury I don't think is serious enough to keep him from getting drafted, but the lack of workouts is definitely concerning and could harm his draft stock.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But I have him at running back 17 is where I have Rashid Ali.
Yeah, I'm at 15.
15. The guy outside my top 10 that I kind of want to go a little deep onto is New Hampshire running back Dylan Lobby.
He would have been the second running back I was talking about.
Okay.
If I had to talk about two, so
he is my running back 13.
I also have him at 13. So
I love his tape. It's hard to come by New Hampshire tape. So I've only seen maybe 4 or 5 games of his, but his route running is insane. Like he's as good of a route runner as like the wide receivers in this class, and that's saying something considering how deep this receiving class is.
Mm-hmm.
So because of that, he's gonna have a spot on a team and should get drafted because of that. I've seen people have undraftable grades on him, and I just don't see it.
The ball in his hand, he is special.
Yeah. And plus, he plays special teams. He'll play coverage teams. He's above average returner. He's got a
I
great
was gonna say
work
he's
ethic.
returned too, so
Yeah, his work ethic is top tier. I believe he won like Senior Bowl practice player of the week down at the Senior Bowl. His vision's good. Decent burst through the line. His cutback ability is a great one cut runner. His passing work is where his focus is going to be, and that's where he's going to make a living in the NFL. I am worried that this past year, New Hampshire did kind of spam him the ball, but I mean, he is the best player on the team, so they're going to spam it. But it was more like, oh, hey, look, this guy can catch the ball, so we're just going to give it to him. And with that increase in targets, he did see a huge drop rate in his career. 2/3 of his drops came this season, so that is a little alarming.
The things I had marked down for him were the vision you brought up. He's a great change of pace back. He's got elite hands, and he hasn't had any type of injury, which is what you're looking for out of a little bit of an older prospect.
Yeah, and he's handled a big workload, so that is a plus and a negative because, he is coming in with some tread.
Yeah, he's
worn
coming
down on those tires, but he can be a workhorse back if needed.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have a 5th round grade on Dylan Lobby, and there's no reason in my mind that he shouldn't be drafted.
Yeah, no, he'll be drafted at the end of the day. I'm blanking on that kid's name last year. Ian Hall. He was ended up drafted. He's very similar to him.
Yeah. Ian Hall from Oklahoma. Oh no, Earl Grey Tees from Oklahoma.
He played in a purple school.
UConn. It was UConn.
Is that where it was? Not
it was either UConn or Northwestern. It might have been Northwestern.
I think it was Northwestern.
Yeah, they all kind of blend together. They're all dog colleges. Anyone else outside your top 10 you want to touch base on?
No, it would have been Dylan Lobby. I don't have Brandon Allen in my top 10.
No?
I think he's a guy that could be in the top 10. I have him at 11. He's right outside.
Okay. The only other person I was going to bring up was Cody Schrader from Missouri. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to test at the combine. He pulled his hamstring or something on his first 40 run, and it seems to have affected his draft stock. A lot of people are just kind of souring on him, but he's similar to Lobby. He's a great pass catcher, and he's like one of the only players in like SEC history to lead the SEC in rushing like 3 straight years. So he's an incredibly productive college back.
Yeah, I'd like to see him do a little bit more, but like you brought up his hamstring injury, so kind of set him back a little bit.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's jump into our top 10s. Give me your 10 through 6.
Well, 10 through 6. 10 would be Tyrone Tracy from Purdue. 9, Frank Gore Jr. From Southern Miss. Yeah, not. I
need to hear that one. We'll touch base on him once you get to your 6.
Not a popular take, but I haven't seen a flaw. I mean, there's flaws, but 8 is Kamani Vidal from Troy. Yeah, I like that kid a lot. 7 is Blake Corum.
He is my RB11.
Okay. 7, Blake Corum from Michigan. And then 6 would be Marshawn Lloyd from USC. All
right. Let's touch base on Frank Gore Jr., dude. I need to hear this. He is my RB19.
That's usually where I see him ranked between 15 to 20. But I'm looking at production and tape, the tape I have found, and he's great in the passing game to the point where he looks like a receiver. He's no different than Dylan Lobby or Troy. What's his name? Tyrone Tracy.
On tape, he is a better receiver than his dad coming out. Like 100%. Frank Gore was a pure running back. Like he wasn't much in the passing game, and he had the banged up knees, and you can see in his tape from the training wise, like with his dad, you could see that he's like got excellent footwork. He's got good vision.
If you
My
watch him
my
run,
my worry is just his speed, and hasn't done any of the athletic testing, and that to me is a telltale like
I
worrisome
agree.
sign.
When he reaches top speed, though, he maintains it very well. He's not going to outrun defenses, but he's very shifty.
Okay.
He had 67 missed force. He had missed tackles forced last year, which I think was 16th in all of college. He's a very one-cut guy and then downhill run for 5'8". He's very downhill.
He does run like a traditional running back.
Yes. He reminds me a lot of Jalen Warren, Pittsburgh running back. I think he's very similar to him.
And I mean, I know a lot of people don't have a draftable grade on him either, and I have a 7th round grade on Frank Gore Jr., but he could be drafted sort of name value wise, just because of legacy, and
not
could be
many
brought in that way.
Smaller school running backs were drafted. I think 3 last year were drafted. But he's the last 4 years he's led the Southern Miss in rushing yards. So every year he's been there, he's productive as hell.
Yeah, he's been an incredibly productive back out there at Southern Missouri. So my 10 through 6, I also have Tyrone Tracy Jr. at 10. He is someone who I've been really late on in the process, and I've really just finished up watching his tape. He was like the second to last running back I watched, and I came away incredibly impressed by him, solely because like he hasn't played the position.
I was going to say, the lack of running back is his downfall, but it's also his greatest shine because of how good he looked playing running back for 1 year.
Yep. At 9, I have Isaac Gruendo, the running back from Louisville. 8, I have Ray Davis from Kentucky. 7, I have Braylon Allen from Wisconsin. And then 6, I have Blake Corum from Michigan. So kind of surprising, neither of us have Blake Corum, who's probably the biggest name value in the draft at the position outside definitely our top 5.
Definitely biggest name value because of school and production over the last 2 years.
Like you can't fault, like he is incredibly productive. Like, but like his tape was so like I sent it to you and Merck. His tape's kind of boring. Like it's just 2-3 yards. And I get it, like that adds up and you'll get first downs. But like I worry about his workload in college. Like he took on a lot and then he got injured in 2022 at the end of the season. I think he would have came out last year had he not got injured. And then it showed this year like he was slower. The tape wasn't as good. And I just worry that like that knee injury is just kind of going to be the start of his downfall due to all the load he has carried at Michigan.
The tape looking boring is something I have credited to that he makes the game look easy.
Yeah.
His football IQ is crazy.
Yeah, he's got the intangibles to be a stud running back. Like, he does lack the size. He's only 5'7".
Yeah. Like he knows exactly what he needs to do every single play. He's not looking for a home run. He is almost the complete opposite of Marshawn Lloyd.
Yeah.
He is looking for 3 yards because if you get 3 yards every single play, you are going to get a first down.
Yeah, and he can handle the workhorse load. He did it in Michigan, even with a good back behind him in Donovan Edwards, who I really like coming out next year.
Yeah.
So we'll see. And Blake Corum, like he could go down and be the RB1 in this class. It would not shock me. But I'm just
a chance that happens.
I'm just worried his doesn't have great long speed. He doesn't have great speed in general. He's got a good initial burst.
I was gonna say he hits the hole at his full speed, which is crazy. It's awesome to watch.
But it doesn't hold it. Like he's so catchable from behind.
Yeah.
So I do have worries there for him, but it looks like the only guy in my top 10 who you don't have is Isaac Gruendo from Louisville. Oh no, Braylon Allen, you didn't have him either. But I've been on the Gruendo train before the combine. Like he blew up the combine and people were like, whoa, who's this guy? But like he's been a dude like the first 2 tapes I watched, I'm like, I'm in. I was sold.
Yeah.
I love his size, 6', 221. Like he's got the prototypical frame to be a workhorse back. Like I said, his combine numbers were crazy: a 4.33 40, 1.5 in the 10-yard split, a 41.5-inch vert, 10-foot 9-inch broad jump, and a 6'9" 3-cone for his size is near elite.
All of his speed is he tests out. He is in like the 99th percentile of running backs. He's crazy.
Yeah.
He's
And like
a freak.
you can see some of that on tape, but like not what I was expecting him to test at though.
No.
So like I feel he's like opposite of Blake Corum. Like he does not hit the hole at full speed. It takes him a bit to get that motor going.
Yeah.
And then once he does, he's top tier. And he's got kick return, punt return ability. He did it in college, so he should be able to, if he gets drafted, slide in there. And then his passing game, he was a willing participant, but like was never really relied on because Jawar Jordan, their other back, was so good in the passing game. But he's a decent pass protector too, which I didn't find many in this class. And then, but like for his size, he really lacks power. Like his power profile does not match his build. Like I wish he was a little more violent and vicious when he ran. And like he does get tackled easily. Like a guy his size should not be able to be tripped up by his ankles, but I see a lot of ankle tackles, so that does concern me. And that could be because he hasn't been a starter in college. Like he only has 1 year of college productivity. Prior to his transfer to Louisville, he had less than 600 yards in his 4 seasons at Wisconsin, despite having 6 touchdowns in 2022, backing up Braylon Allen. And then he goes to Louisville, has 800 plus yards this season, 11 touchdowns as the backup to Jawar Jordan, despite outperforming him.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think there's a lot of untapped raw potential for Isaac Guerendo, and I can't wait to see what he does. Like he is one of my favorite day 3 prospects.
Yeah, no, he's definitely got a ton of potential. He's right outside my top 10. Him and Brandon Allen are my 11 and 12.
Yeah, I'll do a quick touch on Braylon Allen. His 2022 tape was great. I loved it. Mm-hmm. His 2023 tape, they switched to a zone scheme, and he struggled, which is concerning because a lot of the NFL runs zone schemes on offense.
I was going to say, the fact that he struggled in that zone scheme is quite the red flag.
But his frame, 6'1", 235, he's got a low center of gravity. Mm-hmm. He absorbs hits. His stiff arm's incredible. Like, if you could find just a compilation of him stiff-arming dudes, it's a fun watch. Mm-hmm. He is a violent, vicious runner. He's not afraid to lower his shoulder, lower his head on the defender. He falls forward when he's brought down. He does suck. And I mean that in the nicest way possible in the passing game. He is not comfortable doing receiving work. And like he did some receiving drills at the combine. I don't think he caught a pass.
Yeah, his hands are rough. His hands are also a red flag. His route running is not that good. He's very clunky out there.
I think his game...
He's so young, dude.
Yeah, 20. But
he's going to play the whole season. Under 21, dude.
At 20 years old. Yep, yeah. He enrolled early at college at 17. He does take long strides, which makes up for his lack of speed. Like, I think his game speed's better than his testing speed. He didn't run at the combine, which smart, because I can't imagine he would have been better than a 4.6. But he also struggles in pass protection, which is a shame because he's a big dude. Like, he's bigger than most linebackers.
He can't get his pads low enough, dude.
Yep, he doesn't keep his feet planted, and he tends to just lunge at guys. He also has some poor instincts. Like, he gets himself in trouble, misses his lane, runs into congested areas, or he'll commit too early and get himself jammed at the line of scrimmage. But despite that, he does have decent vision. Like, I found that, like, he's able to get skinny for a guy his size and squeeze through and get to the second level. Sure. Yeah. Like, there's a ton of upside with Braylon Allen.
Yeah.
And
he
because
does a lot
of his
stuff very well.
Yeah, because of his age, he's going to be overdrafted.
There's a good chance he is one of the top 3 running backs taken. Top 3, 4 running backs taken. Yeah.
All right, let's do your 1 through 5. Well, 5 through 1.
5 through 1. 5, I have Ray Davis from Kentucky, who you had in your, what'd you have, 8, 7? Something like that. Then at 4, I have Jalen Wright from Tennessee. 3, I have Bucky Irving, a little bit higher than most people. 2 is Jonathan Brooks, who is usually number 1 on most people's list. And at 1, I have Trey Benson from Florida State.
All right. We have a very similar top 5. I believe we have. No, there's one guy in my top 5 who's not in your top 10. Unless I didn't hear you say him.
Oh.
Marshawn Lloyd.
Oh, no, he was 6.
Okay. I must have missed that. All right. So my top 5, I do have Bucky Irving 5. So it is a shame. I wish one of us was lower on him. Excuse me. Because he's so polarizing right now. Like the combine, a lot of people just sort of wrote him off. They're done with him.
Oh, yeah.
So like I wish we had different stances there on him so we kind of debate that. But you and I do have a similar liking in running back. So like I get where we both have Bucky Irving. So I had him 5. I had Marshawn Lloyd 4. I had Jalen Wright 3, Jonathan Brooks 2, Trey Benson 1.
Hey, Trey Benson. Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, so let's start with your 5.
My 5 was Ray. Okay, so Ray Davis.
Yeah, let's talk Ray Davis because I had him 8.
Very powerful playing style. Very powerful. But even being so powerful, his footwork is crazy good, dude. He looks like a dancer out there, dude.
He does.
Yeah. Even being a big guy, he also has very good hands. His pass catching is up there with anyone else in the draft.
It's insane. Like you watch his tape, and even at the combine, like he excelled in the passing drills. Like he's built like a bowling ball.
The next thing I have here is his low center of gravity. He moves the line because he runs so hard into it.
Yeah,
and that's what you want in the NFL.
Mm-hmm. Like don't get me wrong. Like I have him 8, and a big part of it is just age. Like he's 24.
He's 24, and his wear and tear he's been at like 3 schools.
He is the only player in college football history to have 3 1,000-yard rushing seasons at 3 different programs. He did it at Temple, he did it at Vanderbilt, and he did it at Kentucky.
The dude's productive wherever he goes, but he lacks top end speed. He's not going to blow up the defense, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And like you mentioned, pass blocking is almost a flaw on a lot of these running backs in the draft.
Yeah, like I know we can go back to Tyrone Tracy and you can be like, well, he's also 24, but he was a receiver for 95% of his college career. He did receiver running back combo the year before, and this was his first full season as a running back.
Mm-hmm.
Like if Ray Davis was 21, he'd be my RB1, hands down.
Yeah, no, I agree. He's got so much work though, but his tape and his productivity it's unmatched in this draft almost.
All right.
And my dude's got the best story out of all the running backs. The NFL
he does. An incredible story. I remember the COVID draft where like everyone had such a sad story and it was so depressing, and like, man, had to watch the draft with a box of tissues.
Yeah.
But like they love those feel good bounce back stories, and Ray Davis has that.
Yep, he's got that story.
I'll talk about my number 4. We'll skip my number 5 because my number 4 is not on your top 5 list either, and that's Marshawn Lloyd from USC.
Yeah, I'm at 6.
Okay. Some things I like about Marshawn Lloyd, I think he's got great speed. Like he's great along the edges. He's got an excellent burst and acceleration, and he's so dangerous in space, especially for his size. I think he's like 5'9", 220. So he's a little smaller, but he's girthy. 220 is big. And then he's got fluid hits, great bend, so some good flexibility there. And his movements, his change of direction, his strides are quick. He's got this low center of gravity. He's got great footwork. His cutting ability is top. Like I've seen him just damage dudes. Like
his cut is crazy. It's Madden-like, dude.
Yeah, you get that dude in space and he's lethal.
Yeah,
which I love about him. He does have some flaws. No running back is perfect. Let's see where his vision isn't great. He doesn't necessarily wait for his lanes to open due to his playmaking ability because he wants to bounce it outside and beat you along the edges because he can. But It's sort of like he's a running back version of Caleb Williams, which is hilarious because they're at the same school. They both have that hero ball ability. Like he wants to make the big play instead of taking the easy 3 to 4 yards.
Yeah, no, he runs the. My main gripe with him is he runs a little bit too high.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't lower his pads, so his power isn't showing like it should.
No, for a guy who's
he's
220,
just
his power profile not there.
Yeah.
He doesn't really fight through contact or break tackles. He relies too much on his elusive ability to shed the tackles.
Mhm.
Whereas sometimes I do wish he would just lower his shoulder and kind of take you head on.
Yeah, no, I agree. But his patience is probably the best in the draft for waiting for a hole to open. It's unreal to watch. He'll wait and wait and wait, and when that hole opens,
boom, gone.
He's gone, dude.
Yeah, which is why you sometimes see him a lot bounce to the outside because those holes didn't open. USC's line last year was a struggle. Yeah. But his testing was really good. 4.46 at 5'9", 220 with a 1.56 10-yard split, 36-inch vert, 9'10" 10-inch broad. So the explosive testing verifies his explosiveness on tape. The Lincoln Riley scheme at USC didn't really allow for him to show off any sort of pass pro abilities, but he does have the size to be passable in that area, and it is something he wants to work on. Same with being a threat in the passing game. It's something USC didn't do much because Caleb Williams didn't have to dump off very often. But like I saw an interview with Marshawn Lloyd, and that's somebody who's just like, I can catch the ball. I'm good with the ball in my hands. I want to show teams that I can be a receiving threat. So like I love that he wants to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. You brought up the pass blocking thing. I jot that down as a negative, but I also have next to it no opportunities.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot on tape to determine if he was good or not on it. Mm-hmm. Like he puts the effort in, like the little bit that like he shows the willingness to do it. He just has to, and those are teachable. You can teach him to keep his feet planted and hit a guy in the numbers.
Get low and just drive. It's very teachable. Because he's got very good football IQ. He's one of the 2 or 3 running backs that I've jotted down football IQ for.
So who's your 4?
My 4 is Jalen Wright.
Jalen Wright. He's my 3. You have Bucky Irving 3?
Yes.
All right. Let's talk Jalen Wright.
Let's talk Jalen Wright. Unlike Marshawn Lloyd, Jalen Wright's pads are 100% in the right spot at all times.
He might be the best pass protector in the draft.
His pass protecting is very great, but the dude is a freak. The dude can outbench the whole fucking football team, dude. He's fucking a freak.
He is an insane athlete. So big, so strong, and those are the kind of guys who are now transitioning to running backs and being successful in the NFL.
Yeah. He's very prone to missing holes. That's big gripe. He is not ideal at finding. He kind of just runs and hope to God he gets through the line.
Yep. One of my dislikes for him, I have vision and impatient. He tends to be impatient while waiting for his blocks to set up and has a habit of just running into his linemen, and he hesitates when his lanes aren't clean.
I agree. But his explosive upfield is great. He's great. If he can hit the hole, he's gone.
He's gone. But, he's such a home run hitter. He is probably the biggest boom bust running back
prospect. In the draft. Yeah, I agree.
For likes his speed, he's an absolute burner. He's got great end top speed to match his great burst. He's incredibly shifty and elusive. He's a threat in the pass game. He's got decent to above average hands, but he's much better in like dump off situations. He doesn't line up well in the slot or on the boundaries. He's much better receiving out of the backfield because he's such a good after catch threat. And then his size power combo is great. 5'10 and a half, 210. He's always keeping his legs churning. He's constantly breaks arm tackles. We talked about his vision being a dislike, and he also did have some ball security and drops, and they were more focus based. Like he was looking to make a move upfield, and he would cause him to drop the ball. And when he was trying to make a play, he just kind of had that ball dangling there and would have a few fumbles. But his fumbles did go down this year, so that was nice to see that he kind of adjusted that from the year before.
That's what you want to see. That's if you can show me improvement every year, that's what I'm looking for.
Yep.
It shows that
He
you're
was
very coachable.
he
You
he
just
was he was this close to being my RB2. The gap I have between him and Jonathan Brooks is
mhm,
minimal. I do think Jalen Wright has the highest ceiling among every running back in the class, but he also has the biggest bust rate. Absolutely explosive, and the speed, burst, athleticism on tape is backed up by his testing numbers. He ran the
mhm,
4.38 in his 40, a 1.5 in the 10-yard split, 38-inch vertical, and an 11-foot 2-inch broad jump.
mhm.
I think he's going to be a contributor from day one. I have a second round grade on him. He could be a return specialist, even though he didn't do it much in college. I think he'll be a great change of pace back. And if he does fall into the right system, I think he can be an every down runner. He has the frame to handle that sort of workload, but I think
Mhm.
he's better off being eased in and look to be the guy like 2 to 3 years from now, sort of like Alvin Kamara was in New Orleans. I don't
Mhm.
see a comp between them. A lot of people love that comp. I think it's just because they both went to Tennessee. I think Jalen Wright compares more to like an Aaron Jones type running back, but he's a little bigger.
Yeah, he's a little bit
Aaron
bigger.
Jones is like 5'8".
He is very small, which is
Yeah.
very surprising. But he's bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like Jalen Wright. Everything he said is pretty much spot on what I have written
He
down here.
he was another guy who was late into the process. Like going into like the initial offseason rankings, like Jalen Wright was unheard of, and then like he started gaining steam, and then once I watched him, like I'm enamored with this dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you brought up him having a second round grade. I think come the middle of the second, end of the second is when someone's gonna jump on a running back and it's gonna start some type of run, dude. Because there's so many running backs in this draft that
I
any NFL team could have them 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, and they're gonna want their guy.
mhm.
So once one goes, they're like, we're gonna have to start snagging them.
It's going to make a domino effect for sure,
Yeah.
and that's going to impact how you look at these guys from a fantasy or dynasty perspective. Whereas like if Blake Corum happens to be the first back taken, we may have him. I have him at 6. You have him at 7.
Yeah.
That probably puts him at RB1 or 2 if he's the first back taken, especially if he goes to a
Yeah.
team with a need. I know everyone wants him to go to the Chargers because of the familiarity with John Harbaugh. So like that does
It fits
play a
well
part
because
in
they
because of
brought in
like
Gus
how
Edwards and they could
spread
just
out it is.
complement each other. And
Yep.
I get it.
All right, so we'll
As,
talk about my number 5 now. Who's your number 3? Bucky Irving from Oregon,
yes, sir.
who
Bucky
I brought
Buck.
up. Who people are just starting to completely sour on this dude because his testing was so bad, and I get it. It is something I am concerned about, but if you watch this man's tape, it does not match that testing whatsoever.
Even not anyone could watch an Oregon game and be like, wow, that guy is a good running back.
He has the
It's
best
just,
vision in the class.
yeah, his
His
playmaking ability is crazy.
his head's always on a swivel. He knows where his lanes are. He's
Yep.
so versatile in that aspect. Like, and he's got passing game work. Like he's great after the catch. He's a threat out of the backfield to catch the ball, and he can even line up at receiving spots. He doesn't thrive there, but he has that ability, and his contact balance is really good for his size, which I am worried about coming in at 5'9", 192.
Mm-hmm.
But he bounces off defenders well. He's got decent tackle breaking ability, and he's so dangerous in space. Like his testing numbers do not match his tape, and it's
No,
such an enigma.
no. When you watch him, he gets to the outside just as fast as any running back in the class. He's not a. He maintains his speed well, but he doesn't get his speed very fast. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. For some flaw, like I said, I don't like his size. 5'9", 192
But
is a little concerning.
Is a huge issue.
Despite the fact that like he handled a full workload. He was a workhorse back in college, which you don't see at that size.
Multiple years,
And
not
then,
even just one. He just did it.
Yeah. He was terrible in pass protection. Like he might be one of the worst backs at pass pro. Like he got bodied by defenders, and he has a bad habit of just bouncing out in hopes that Bo Nix was going to dump it off to him.
Yeah.
And he could be a little impatient. He does
His
look for kind of the big play instead of letting the offense kind of flow naturally, which is crazy considering his testing numbers not being great, that he wants to make the big play.
Yeah, no, his vision is a downfall to a T because he jumps from lane to lane so much. So he's always trying to see which hole is like, oh, that hole's not big enough. Hop over, hop over, hop over, until the point where he's out the outside and just takes it.
Yeah, like I said, people are fading on him because of those combine numbers, because he didn't excel in the explosive drills. Like, he ran a 4.55 40, a 1.54 10-yard split, a 29.5-inch vert, and a 9.7 broad. I get it, but I'm going to value his tape more than I'm going to value his testing.
I agree.
Like,
I evaluated him before the combine, and I'm not going to let some type of numbers dictate where his tape is, because tape at the end of the day is more valuable than running without pads.
He was my RB3 pre-combine, and he only dropped down 2 spots. I'm still in on him. Like, I would personally love to see him go to Kansas City, because Andy Reid utilizes multiple backs, and he'd be the perfect complement to Pacheco. Clyde's not there. Jet's not there. I think he would fit that Jerick McKinnon role to a T, and Andy Reid would make it work.
Definitely.
And if he would go to Kansas City, people are going to overlook the poor testing. You'll be like, well, he's in Kansas City. He'll do fine there.
There are a couple of situations that he could certainly thrive in, which would be ideal for him.
Yeah, I'm not overly concerned. I am worried a bit, but because of his size more than I am the testing. But
that's the one thing that can come back and burn both of us on this, is that his size is what it is.
Yep. But I'm not.
But at the end of the day, it's not going to be his numbers that make him fail.
I will die on this hill that Bucky Irving has pro upside.
I'm full force on that throttle. I have him at 3, and I'm not going to let up.
All right, so we talked about my 5, my 4, my 3, and your 5, 4, and 3. So let's talk about our 2 and 1. We both have them the same. Let's start with Jonathan Brooks, number 2.
Jonathan Brooks, he seems to be the consensus number 1 on a lot of people's list. He is coming into the season with the ACL injury?
Yeah, he tore his ACL back in November.
So he didn't do the combine.
Yeah, we're not going to see any testing or pro day from him.
He didn't get a lot of sample size because of all the running backs ahead of him over the last couple years.
Backing up Bijan and Roshan Johnson.
Yeah, but what we did get to see was dope. His stop and start is a hell of impressive. His hands are as good as most. His burst, and then his burst to the outside and up the middle, and then his ability to get downhill is elite almost. Like elite for a college kid.
I think had he not got hurt, he would have been the clear-cut RB1 in this draft, and I think there could have been some first-round buzz for this guy.
Yeah, I think he could have fell into the end of the first.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes he's incredibly patient, sometimes too patient of a runner. He's got great vision, and he's got no problem waiting for his lane to open, and he bursts through the line, and he keeps defenders on edge with his footwork. But sometimes that patience does come back to bite him, because he will wait too long, and it'll miss his lane, and it forces him outside, or he'll end up getting tackled for a loss. I love his size, 6 foot 216. He's got the framework to be an every down back, and he seemed to get better as the year went on, which he was adjusting handling that workload. Like I said, he's got great footwork, very shifty, fluid feet, excellent one-cut ability, makes defenders miss. Soft hands, like he was really reliable in the passing game. He doesn't look uncomfortable receiving out of the backfield. He also has a pretty good route tree for a receiver. I've seen a lot of plays where he was lining up in the slot, and Texas was utilizing him there.
Yeah, his patience and his route tree is very Le'Veon Bell-esque.
Yeah. I am worried about the durability. Like I said, first year as a full-time starter, and he happened to tear his ACL. I know that doesn't really fall under workload, but it is something to keep in mind that it could bounce back, and you probably don't have him at full strength for his whole rookie season, so he's got to kind of halfway through the year, you might see him eased into the lineup more and more.
Yeah, there's a very good chance come the end of the year he is taking the carries from somebody.
Yeah. Some notes I have on him. He's not necessarily elite or great at anything, but he's good at almost everything. If he stays healthy, I think he'll be a running back who could be a starter for a handful of years. The lack of college productivity, not overly alarming as it would be for some people. Like you said, it's because of the players in front of him. It's not that like
Yeah.
he couldn't play. Like he's not better than Bijan as a prospect.
But you can also look at that as Texas has this way of churning out running backs.
They're like
And
Wisconsin.
It doesn't matter who it is, so they're going to look good regardless of who's running behind them.
Yep.
Is that the case here? I don't think so.
He's got the skill set and the ability to be an every down back, and like I said, had he not tore his ACL, I think we'd be looking at him as the clear cut number one running back. I'd love to see him go down to Dallas, and if he does, he's probably RB1 fantasy wise. They're in desperate need of a back, and the doctor who performed his ACL procedure has an affiliation with the Cowboys, so you know they're doing their research on this guy.
Yeah, that is very true. I mean, looking at the draft, Dallas is the prime landing spot, I think, for a lot of these backs.
Yeah, Green Bay filled their running back need with Josh Jacobs. Houston has Joe Mixon.
Dillon, so
yeah.
Yeah, Houston brought in Mixon, signed him for a deal. New England brought in Gibson to compete with Roschon.
Ramondre.
Yep. Roschon's Chicago. Chicago has 3 backs.
Swift, Herbert, Roschon, yeah.
Yeah, there's not many jobs left for running backs.
No. So
especially startups.
Yeah. Let's go. RB1. Trey Benson, Florida State.
Oh yeah, dude. Trey Benson's tape is too good. He is the guy that will outrun defenses. A couple of these guys are not the guy to outrun a defense. Trey Benson's the one.
I was so impressed by his testing numbers. I did not think he'd test as well as he did.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I love watching him play, but I'm like, okay, I'm kind of worried about the combine. He's going to run well, but I don't think he's going to run that well. And he fucking put all the doubt I had.
He ran under 4.4.
Oh, yeah. He was a 4.39, dude. It was fucking insane. And he's what, 216? 6 foot?
Yeah. I think he measured in. I don't have his measurements here. I have every other running back's measurement.
216. His strength and balance is awesome to watch. His vision has pretty much improved every year, which is what I'm looking for. And he's also very good in catching the ball.
Yeah, and which is a shame because Florida State, there's not a lot of pass game reps on tape for him. I think he only had 32 catches in his college career.
I think something like that.
But he was capable. And like it was just Florida State's offense. There's so many weapons there that they just didn't utilize him in the passing game.
Yeah, definitely. They're not looking at him to catch the ball.
Yeah, I love his speed power profile. He keeps his legs moving. He absorbs tackles. He's hard to bring down. He's like Braylon Allen, has a great stiff arm. He's not afraid to run violent. Like his violent runs are so fun to watch. Like you said, his speed, great burst, explosive. He's got good vision. He identifies his lane. He's not afraid to get skinny and squeeze through gaps. His footwork is great. His stutter step is phenomenal. He's got long strides. His cutting ability is quick. He does run a little stiff. I noticed that he's not really flexible and it kind of disrupts his balance. He does get a little impatient at times where he gets a little too antsy and he runs into congestion and he hesitates and he misses lanes and he falls behind. And then, of course, you got to worry about his productivity. He's never really been the guy, and the offensive scheme didn't really seem to fit his strengths at Florida State, and his productivity this past year did go down.
I believe he's had a leg injury as well in the past.
He did. His freshman year at Oregon, he had a devastating injury. Like tore his ACL, MCL, his hamstring, his PCL. So it did take him a while to come back.
Yeah, he tore everything. But coming back from that, you want to see improvement every year, and you have.
Yeah.
So I kind of think that's in the past.
He was my initial RB1 before the real scouting process got started, and then
Mm-hmm.
he did fall a bit to my RB4, and then after the combine and revisiting some of his tape, he moved back into my RB1 spot. There's a bunch of stuff I love about his game, like I said. I am a little concerned that he's never handled a full workload,
Mm-hmm.
but he does have the frame and body to withstand being an every down back.
Definitely.
And
His stamina, he can definitely do like a full
yeah,
package.
yeah, I would credit the knee injury for why he hasn't really got the chance to handle
Mm-hmm.
that workload. But his tape matches his testing numbers: 4.39 40, 1.52 10-yard split, 33.5-inch vert, 10.2 broad. He's never had more than 160 carries, like I said. So like that is concerning that he hasn't handled a full workload. But like I said, I think that is because of his injury. And we touch base on the passing game. I do think he has the tools to be an effective passing game threat, despite the minimal reps on tape.
Mm-hmm.
And I originally, like, I wanted him to go to Baltimore. Like, that's the place I wanted him because he was the perfect complement to Keaton Mitchell. But with Derrick Henry there, I don't think Baltimore's really going to prioritize
Yeah,
drafting a running back.
I
So
don't
I'm
think so.
so I'm hoping he ends up with a team like you guys, the New York Giants, where he can kind of split
He
time with
is
Singletary
very, very high on my board, and I would be fine
and
taking
either
him in the second round.
supplant him toward the end of this season and then be the full-time starter in 2025.
Yes,
Obviously,
sir.
would love him in Dallas because they have no running back on that
Yeah,
roster
of
who could
course.
be
Yeah.
the guy. So any of these guys go there, they're it.
Yep.
And then obviously Minnesota, and we only have Aaron Jones for 1 year, and he'd be the perfect counter to Ty Chandler if they're content on making him part of the offense.
Yeah, definitely. You think the Carolina job's open? Or do you think they're just gonna? They paid Miles Sanders.
They did,
way too
and
much.
the Frank Wright experiment. I think he was actually the problem.
I
But then
agree.
the new staff might favor Chuba Hubbard because Chuba Hubbard played so well last year, despite all of that. But
Yeah.
I don't think Carolina's going to really focus on it back because they have so many other needs. I think they're going to kind of roll with Chuba and Miles.
I've always liked Miles Sanders. I don't know what the hell happened last year, dude.
He's
But
always
it's
he's so erratic. He's so hit or miss. He seems to be like an every other year type guy. So maybe this is a boom year for Miles Sanders.
yeah. Hey man, I'm here for it. I'm always loving to see people succeed.
So there you got it. There's our top 10. A quick churn through mine again. At number 10, I had Tyrone Tracy Jr. from Purdue, Isaac Guerrero from Louisville at 9, Ray Davis, Kentucky at 8, Braylon Allen, 7 from Wisconsin, Blake Cora, Michigan at 6, Bucky Irving, Oregon at 5, Marshawn Lloyd, USC at 4, Jalen Wright, Tennessee at 3, Jonathan Brooks, Texas at 2, and then Trey Benson, Florida State at 1.
Indeed.
Hey,
If you had to pick one of them that you would for sure give the seal of approval not to bust, who would it be? That's right. What a hard question, brother.
it is, because originally before you finished, I was just gonna blurt out Jalen Wright, but like I said, he's got probably the biggest bust rate
Yep.
among those guys. But I'm gonna stick with my RB1. I'm gonna stick with Trey Benson.
Hell yeah, dude.
You want to quick recap your top 10?
Yes, sir. Coming at 10, I have Tyrone Tracy from Purdue, same as you. 9, I have Frank Gore Jr. from Southern Miss. 9, I have Kamani Vidal from Troy. 7, Blake Corum from Michigan. 6, Marshawn Lloyd from USC. 5, Ray Davis from Kentucky. 4, Jalen Wright from Tennessee. 3, Bucky Irving from Oregon. 2, Jonathan Brooks from Texas. And 1, just like you, Trey Benson from Florida State.
Same question for you. Who you had to bet your farm on one of those running backs to be successful?
If I had to bet my farm on one of these guys still playing in the NFL in 8 years and having a hell of a career, it's going to be Ray Davis.
Oh, 8 years, he's going to be 47.
He's going to be 32.
That'll be the end of the career.
And that's the end of his career. Yeah, 32, and then he's done.
Would you rank them similarly from a fantasy perspective? I know it's early kind of to figure that out for Dynasty because they don't have teams.
It kind of depends on where they all kind of fall.
I would
I still think
probably
I'd have Trey Benson one though.
I would give a little boost. I'd probably move Jalen Wright over Jonathan Brooks solely because he's healthy and he also provide, like I said, if he
Yeah.
booms, you have a
If
fantasy
I was
stud
looking
for
at it, drafting now before knowing teams for some odd reason, I'm taking Jalen Wright over Bucky Irving. Marshawn Lloyd would probably be a guy I would target very high.
Mhm.
Maybe even Blake Corum, dude. Even just based off production, dude.
It's worth the risk. And
Because
fantasy
Blake Corum,
commissioners,
maybe he should have got that seal of approval, dude. Because he
he
doesn't fail.
he's got the highest floor in the draft for sure.
Yeah, him and Ray Davis's floor, I think, are really good, dude.
But fantasy commissioners out there, don't do your rookie dynasty drafts before teams draft these guys. Like
that's a sin, dude.
Like you're hurting like a team who may be bad and then they can get a guy. I mean, if you're drafting one, you're drafting Marvin Harrison Jr. So you're probably
I was
getting.
Say, like, if that team's not drafting Marv, dude, I
he's
think
not
that's
team
probably why
team
they're drafting
effective.
one.
But like any of these running backs, you're just pulling them out of a hat if they don't have a team. All right,
Shit,
that does
man,
it.
Even with teams, we're still pulling out of a hat with this running back class.
That's true. I don't hate the running back class as much as most people do. I don't necessarily love it, but like the guys I do like, I really like.
I think there's a couple guys in this draft that are going to have very good careers.
Yeah. All right, that'll do it. Our first ranking episode. We're probably going to do quarterbacks next. We'll try to churn these out as quick as we can before the draft.
Yes, sir.
Give us a follow on social media at draftedUp_pod on X and Twitter. You could search us on Spotify, search Drafted Up, and on YouTube, same as the Twitter handle, draftedUp_pod, or you can search Drafted Up Podcast on YouTube, and that should bring it on up. So there we got it. Top 10 running backs in the books. It's been real.
Yes, sir. Always
Sorry
is.
for kind of running out of breath. This stuffy nose and cold's kicking my ass, so sounds like I'm running a marathon over here. I'm catching myself just...
Gotta fight back, dude.
Yeah, I gotta fight back. But hey, guys, it's been real. Stay alert, stay alive. We'll catch you guys next time here on the Drafted Up Podcast.
Bye.